Hi friends! In today's video, I'm going to be demonstrating several cards featuring the new Reasons to Smile stamp set and our Stampin Blends markers. Some of the cards are very simple and some I've stepped up by using the Joseph's Coat technique. So I hope you get lots of inspiration. Let's start stamping. This is a stamp set that I'm going to be using today. Love these images. And I'm going to be doing a few different varieties of cards from very simple to stepped up a little bit using these stamps. So I'm going to be using a variety of our Stampin' Blend colors. For the first card, I am using light shaded spruce, dark pale papaya. This one is dark Highland Heather. This one is dark flirty flamingo. And this is one of our new in colors. This is the light Tahitian tide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first start with a piece of, this is our basic white cardstock, and it measures 4 by 5 1/4. This is actually a variation of a card that I made years ago using our regular Stampin' Write markers. But today I'm using our Stampin' Blends. I'm using the bold tip on each of these markers, and I'm just going to go across the bottom. And then I'm going to go all the way up to the top of this paper, doing the same thing with the different colors. Now I'm using the Flirty Flamingo. And I like to go into the previous color just a little bit because I like how they blend together. And this will lighten up just slightly as it dries. And my dark Highland Heather. I just like these colors. They make me happy. Go into that previous color, and then this beautiful blue. I would have to say this is one of my favorite blues with our Stampin' Up colors. Isn't that pretty how it blends into that Highland Heather a little bit too? So nice. And my light shaded spruce. Oh, no. I forgot. I'm going to be also using our dark Parakeet Party. This is also a new in color, because this is a brighter color of green. And I want to put that shaded spruce above it. Okay. Now we'll do the dark shaded spruce. Okay. So we've just created our background. Now I'm going to pull in my Stamparatus. And I'm going to put this here. Okay. Put on my magnet. And I'm using the You Always Give Me a Good Reason to Smile. So I'm just going to position that right on top like so. And I am inking this with my black Memento. Okay. I'm going to ink it again. Get this black really good and dark. Not pretty, super fun. So I'm just going to move this out of the way, put this onto a card base. I am just using a basic white card base. So this is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and I'm going to use dimensionals to put this on. And again, this is just a simple, quick card, because sometimes we all need simple, quick cards, right? Now to jazz this up a bit, I'm bringing in some of my iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. And let's stick some of those on. I know I'm going to put one here, one there, one on each side of the word reason. And then I'm going to take one of the smaller ones and put it right in the center of the O for you. And that's it. That is a super fast card. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you can step this up a little bit. So here is a piece I have already used my markers on. This is 5.5 by 4.5. Put my magnet down, and I am going to ink this with my Versamark. And we have a cat walking all over the desk. Rocky, you're seriously in the way, and there's no room on this desk for you, little man. Okay. Oops, and I forgot to position that. Alrighty then. Let's carefully position this on. Just like so. Okey-doke. Move this out of the way again. Okay, and now I'm going to put on my black embossing powder. You can see I got some where I don't want it. I would have stamped this again, but I was afraid I didn't have this positioned quite right on my Stamparatus. Okay, so I'm just going to take a brush and brush off this excess and heat that up. My heat tool. If you're new to stamping, whenever you're heat embossing, you do want to move your paper around and make sure you've got it all. And that looks good to me. The die I'm going to be using to cut this out is from our new Deckled Rectangles die collection. And I'm going to be using the second largest, which is this one. I have the larger one already on my die cutting machine. So let me bring that in, get that cut. So I'm putting my number 2 plate onto my number 1 plate. Okay, so I have my clear plate down, and now I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to put my plate on top and run that through. Here's my die cut. Okay, so I have a piece of basic black. This measures 4 1/4 by 5.5, and now I'm using the largest die from this collection. Put the plate on, run it through. Now I have that. But you know what I'm gonna do, you guys, and some of you may know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm going to bring these in and bring the third largest die in and cut out that center that's going to be hidden behind the stamped piece anyways, and then I get more mileage on my cardstock, and then I can use this center piece for another card. Just another way to get good mileage out of your cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside for another card. Bring in my card base. If you ever can't get your glue started, in my desk I always keep a safety pin just to poke a little hole in, get things rocking and rolling out of there. Okay. So that could get glued on right on top there, but I want to pop that up, so I'm going to use my dimensionals. Already I've lost my take your pick tool, but I'm going to put the rhinestones on exactly as I did on the first card. So there's card number 2. Okay, we're going to step this up even more. So this is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5 basic black, and I'm going to cut some white down to measure 4 by 5 1/4. Now for the next card, I'm using some different colors. I am using our dark Sweet Sorbet, our light Tahitian Tide, the dark Parakeet Party, the dark Shaded Spruce, our dark Pumpkin Pie. This one is light Starry Sky, dark Rich Razzleberry, and our dark Daffodil Delight. Gonna bring my Stamparatus back in. And same as my last card. Ink it with my Versamark. And this time, instead of using black, I'm going to emboss with clear powder. So some of you may know what I'm about to do. I am going to grab my black Memento ink pad. You could use a sponge, but I'm going to use my ink pad directly to the cardstock. So this is the like the Joseph's coat technique. So I'm just going to go right on top. And if you've never seen this technique before, it's pretty magical. And I'm just going in light circles. And like I said, you could use a sponge. I just find this is so much faster. I'm going to be cutting this out with the second largest die that I used on the last card. So I want to make sure I have black on these edges, but you want to be careful when you're using your ink pad directly to the paper like this. You don't want it to catch on the edge and then it's going to tear your ink pad. That would just be sad. So just be careful when you're going on the edges. Now I'm going to take a baby wipe and just remove the excess ink that's just sitting on top of this. And look at that. Magical. Magical. And all those beautiful colors pop right through. Okay, so I have my 4 by 5 1/4 basic white that I'm putting on my basic black card base. This is the piece that I have just cut out. But I'm going to do something else to this card. So these are our new in color 6x6 Designer Series paper stacks. So I'm pulling out 2 colors, and of course these colors match the markers that I used on the card. So this one was the light starry sky and this was the dark sweet sorbet. So I'm going to cut these down a little bit because I want them to fit into my die cutting machine. So I'm just going to cut it at 4.5. Can definitely use these bits on a different card. And I'm going to take the largest die from that same die collection and I'm going to cut these out together. I'm going to use 2 different patterns and I'm just going to cut them out together at the same time like so. Okay, now I have these cut. I'm going to keep them stacked together and I'm going to cut them in half. I'm going to cut them at about 1 7/8. I think that's pretty close to the half. And bring in my card base and I am going to stagger these. So I'm going to match them up like that. Okay, and I'm going to glue this directly on. For this card, I'm going to use my rhinestones, my basic rhinestones. A little bit of paper on the inside for my message. And there is that card done. I did one earlier using the same colors that I used on the first 2 cards. So you can see the difference you get too, right? Big, big difference. Moving on to the next card, I'm going to use the Big Hugs and Good Vibes. And guess what I did when I put my label on for this stamp, you guys? I put it on upside down. Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did. That's why I put that little arrow there, because I always forget when I go to use it, because I've been using this a lot on my cards. So Big Hugs is actually, this throws me every time, gonna go like that. So bear with me while I put this on upside down. This time I'm going to stamp with Smoky Slate. I have a piece of basic black. I'll clean my stamp here real quick. And ink this with my first mark. Stamp it down. I really want to make sure I've inked that really, really well. So I'm going to ink it again. This time I'm embossing with white. Now I'm using the smallest of the dies in this collection, and I am going to die cut this 3 times, and they don't have to be all matchy-matchy. So let's do that. Now I'm going to pop these die cuts on with my dimensionals. And all I'm going to do is line them up according to how I've got this on here. To finish the card, I'm just kind of experimenting here as I do. I'm going to line this up on my grid sheet. Take my ruler, I'm going to go right below this black line. This is kind of an afterthought of mine. And I'm going to take the dark Sweet Sorbet. Just draw a line. I meant to use the bold, not the fine. So I'm going to do that again. There we go. And then my bold pumpkin pie. I don't think that's very straight, but we can go this way now. Okay, so I have my white, my glittered white organdy ribbon. And I'm going to tie a knot where it's the widest on the pen. Tie it really good and tight. And slide it off. And then I'm going to snip this in the center. Okay, there's my bow. And I'm just going to put this on with the glue dot. So I'm going to put a glue dot right in the center of that knot. And there's the card. As you can see, there are a lot of ways you can use this super fun stamp set. Keep it as simple as you want, kick it up as much as you want. Try all these fun techniques and change the colors if you want different colors. You can just go to town. So I hope this gave you a lot of inspiration and that you have fun creating with this awesome stamp set and some of these different techniques. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Take care and happy stamping.